All right. Hey, the camera kicked on. Look out. It's time for today's show. Switch things up a little bit with the camera angle today because I am not at my traditional desk. I am at my digital desk. And we'll get into it why in a moment. So welcome to the program, everybody. This thing, what we call show. Let's see. What do we got? Oh, Frank. Hi, Frank. Good afternoon, Christopher. I hope you are doing well today. I am, Frank. I am. I seem to be the only person here. I see not Philip or Paul, nor do I see Seven or Gary. Therefore, I declare first. You're first, Frank. Frank is first, everybody. All right. Digital! That's how I'm saying it. Okay, before I get into that, we got cool... Well, there's a spoiler. We got a cool suggestion today. It comes from Jim Luan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Jim, and if I'm not, I apologize. I'm doing my best, but I take it that the Y is a, or the J is a Y. But, okay, so here's yesterday's page. This is the originals that I did. This is ballpoint alcohol marker. And, oh, hey, Dee Dee's here. Hi, Dee Dee. She says, Christopher. Okay, so Frank says, hi, lovely. Okay, so this is the two original pages that I did for the one-page comic that I posted earlier today on Instagram and Facebook. So this is the original art for those. It's just a gray piece of cardstock and a white piece of comic page cardstock. And so this is pencil, a little bit of black pen, white pen, alcohol markers like Copics, but a cheaper brand, and a little bit of white paint. So that's the source material, and what it amounted to, un momento, silver plate, is, let me get the banner off, this is the finished page. Let's get my gob out of there. All right, so this is what the page finally amounted to, and that is my complex deep think. So, okay, exciting stuff. It's the typical Chris tongue-in-cheek Jim Luhan. Thank you, Frank. I appreciate that. I will do a better. It was really nice of Dee Dee to stop in for a second, wave hello. Our timetables are a little different here. I use a mixture of alcohol markers. Ohuhu is a good brand. Never heard of it, but that's cool. Mine are Studio. They're really cheap and from Michaels, so that's fine by me. Okay, so this is then the final page. The suggestion was monkey waxing existential. So if you look up in the dictionary, what does waxing existential mean? It means to have a complex and deep think. So that's what I did with that. Thank you very much, Dee Dee. It's nice of you to say that. Okay, so in a typical Christopher fashion, I can't take anything completely serious. So there's the double-sided thing of existential thought surrounded in smart alegory. That's an official term. But that's not what we're doing today. Today, we're doing something else. And that something else is a Depeche Mode page. So, yesterday's suggestion from Jim is to do Depeche Mode Ping Pong Tantrum, which is that's a perfect kind of a suggestion. Thank you for that, Jim. Hey, there we go. Cool. So Depeche Mode Ping Pong Tantrum gives me all kinds of ideas, which is not necessarily a good thing. So what I've come up with, I'm going to jump cameras again just for a moment. So what I've come up with was a couple of initial ideas. And the initial ideas were, I looked up a video, wanted to make sure there wasn't some sort of inside joke or something that I missed from Jim's suggestion. So I looked up Depeche Mode and ping pong. And it turns out that Depeche Mode were interviewed playing ping pong before they did a show in '83, and so I looked that up and I searched up some of the imagery behind that, plus some of their live performance stuff of Dave dancing. And I thought I'd set up a couple of little designs for an initial page. And in those designs is little circular head portraits of the guys, you know, hey, it's Dave and Fletcher, you know. So run along the top with the top banner. And I call it Fashion First, which is what the French call Depeche Mode. That's what Depeche Mode means. So I like a turn of phrase. That's why instead of waxing existential, I wrote complex deep think. Instead of Depeche Mode, I'm doing Fashion First. But the idea is to lay out these multiple panels of the two guys playing ping pong and Dave leaning against the wall, like in the video. But then at some moment for reality to skip and it turned into the guys playing keyboards while Dave would jump up on the ping pong table to do one of his little crazy dances. So I'm taking tantrum in the extent that instead of having a rage attack on stage, which I don't know that he's necessarily known for, I wanted the tantrum to be crazy dancing and techno music to kick in and everything else. And so I'm trying to figure out some ways that I can do that. And then I realized in order to really push the bounds of that, this is why I did a second draft to take these, eliminate just the ping pong table panel for the most part, because it tells us nothing contextually about what I'm trying to convey in this short space of a story. So drop that, but to kick the space around and to return back to the B panel again at the end, but to dump two center panels and to even emboss Dave larger so that he's in the foreground in one of his crazy dance poses. So that's the task I've set myself. Now, I thought about this a lot, and in honor and respect to what Jim does, because I'm really impressed by Jim's cartoons. I've mentioned them a couple of times in the last few days, and Jim, if you're still here, buckle up. But out of respect to him, now bear in mind, I don't know how to do this. But what I'm trying to do is as follows. I have taken this scene of the guys, and so I've taken the scene that the video takes place in, and I've redone it. I've painted the scene. So now that I've got the scene, and then in addition to having the scene, I've done it as elements, and so I've done it in these different sort of layers. So here's the room. And in front of the room is the ping pong table, right? So I can move the ping pong table wherever I want to now, but I've also laid out a couple different perspectives and angles and flipped around with the ping pong a little bit. Oh, well, that's really nice of you, Jim. This some people call it genius. Other people call it madness. Anyways, I really appreciate that. That's nice of you. But I don't know how to animate, so bear with me. But basically, I'm going to build all the elements that one can animate. And then maybe at some point, I will learn how to do that and figure out how to go about putting this together. Now, there's a funny thing I've heard that Jim says, and I've heard this expressed a couple times in the Artcasters program. Jim chose to do animation because he thought doing comics was too hard, which to me is... that's the opposite. I considered going into animation, but I thought that was too hard, so I decided to make comics, which is kind of a funny turn of things. But so for me, assembling images really fast is that's in the head. But when it comes to, and I have all these notions about how do I make them move around. Like I've got, so if I take the table out, I haven't painted him in yet, but here's Dave from a scene in the video of him standing by the ping pong table. But I can move Dave and do whatever I want. So as soon as I can figure out animation, I can, hey, what are you doing? So, and then I've got Andy. So I've had to fill in the parts of their anatomy that don't exist in the video. but that allows me to do all kinds of things. Here's Andy with the table, Dave beside it, put the scene in behind them, whatever. So there's a whole bunch of different ways that I can play with this. And I've had to reconstitute some of the elements. Like this wall didn't exist because of I had to figure out where the floor paneling is. And of course, because in the video, this wall is completely covered. So I had to make up the bottom part of that wall and the little bump in for the alcove of the corner. But that's just stuff that you figure out from drawing, right? And then I extend the window down a little farther, to fill the image here. So put in the hinges for the doors, just tried to put in all those little elements so that now the scene is rooted. But the part about this that it allows me to do is that when you look at guys like, let me think here for a moment. Smallwood, I guess, would be one. I'm trying to think of who the illustrator was for Mr. Miracle. That was a comic that came out in the last couple of years. And if you haven't read the Mr. Miracle book from the last couple of years, I highly recommend that you do so. But one of the elements that's in there is repetitive paneling. And what he does with repetitive paneling is that he'll do what I've done here. He'll set up the scene so that he can have this as his background for multiple panels. So when he draws said character and puts them in the foreground, and then he can draw numerous iterations of this character and then have the character in different spaces in the image. So I've tried to do the same sort of thing. So here's the picnic table. And then I've duplicated the net that goes over top of the table. And the reason I did that is because now I've got a number of images of Dave, the singer, and this would be the tantrum, is that I've got Dave, the singer, and I've got a number of different poses of him of dancing. And I think as I cycle through these, and do the twos, this is what I understand. The first drawing is the first part of a movement. And in order to get the second drawing, I have to then alter his body a little bit in the in-between stage to get him from movement A to movement, or from pose A to pose B. Right? I read a book, and does anybody get the impression that I never sleep? So that's the idea. And then I'm going to walk through Dave dancing on the table, and then I'm going to do a second cycle for this, which is the cycle of him. Now let me just use one of these as an example. I'll duplicate this so that I don't have to worry about moving it. All right, so this image is one of the, so then the second cycle which is going to be different poses because, why stop now? And the net, of course, is not going to, whoops, hold that. So the second cycle would be closer to the camera. So as I draw these repeated panels, or I'm going to do it all digitally, and then I'm going to format it as a page and then edit it as I like. But I'm doing the whole process in a digital way. I have a sheet here that has all of these poses on it for me. And so I look at my sheet, I pull up my paper, and I draw my guys. That's the way I'm doing it. And I've got, this is the little circle heads for along the banner. This is, all these little stages. But like I say, animation isn't a thing for me. This is, so what I'm doing right now is that I'm taking this initial idea that I've had for my sketch, for my draft of this. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to replicate these situations. And so I can look at my image of Dave here as he is in his panel, and I can now paint him up so that he fits into the scene. But I've got additional ideas to this, and bear in mind, I don't know if this stuff works either. But one of the things that I considered was changing the lighting. So if I put little filters over things. I can just use the same setting. I don't have to draw a second set on the page. I can use the same set, but I'm going to put basically fake pot lanterns with filters on that. And I've thought, so I'm going to have a lot of layers here, let's be honest. And I mean, I could probably just start this here and just let it go. Because, yeah, we're going to fill this sucker. But so let me try this for a second here. I'll pull up another layer. And again, bear with me. This is, it's all as new to me as it could be for you. So let me think how I can do this. I've got a couple of these. I've got a lot of brushes that you load up and you never use. Like they're just random things. And so what I've got here is these little corner, how would you describe this? They're sort of like a corner flare or a flash, like it's sort of like a light source coming from a corner. See, I like textures. I'll throw textures into things. But okay, so here we go. Now, if I take this, all right, and let me pick let's find a cool color. Let's just do, light violet, okay? So my theory is that if I use this light violet and then I stretch it out, I can lay that over the scene if that might work, or maybe it's too. Yeah, see, so I'm going to play with this. I'm going to test this out anyways. But the idea is that I'm going to put some of these textured filters, so sort of like their stage lights up above. And so when I go into my tantrum scene, which is where, of course, Dave starts dancing on top of the picnic table, a la Dave on Picnic Table, and then a la Dave dancing, and a second shot of that in the comic page is Dave dancing directly in front of the frame. In fact, the idea is that he floats out in front of the frame, much like I have it now. The only reason that the picnic table does is and I drew the entire table. Only half of this was in the supplied image that I looked at of the video. So I just drew out the whole table and extended the reflection system throughout it, and put some legs on the bottom of it. But the reason that I drew that out all the way was so that I could twist and turn it, and make it do different things. And, so that now they're playing on a table that's at angle. Now they're playing on a table that's at angle. Those aren't concrete yet, but it's just options. So the theory is that by putting these lights up in the corner for the tantrum moments, because again, I'm still learning. I've only been doing this Photoshop thing for a year, so I'm still learning everything as I go, and I have such an old version of it because I refuse to pay for it monthly. So the idea is that these crazy colors are flashing down onto the stage in the corners. Now I'm going to reverse this and make this other corner. But so just try to sort of make some day-glow kaleidoscopic craziness. But of course, whatever's in the panel is just in the center. And should I figure out how to do animation? Again, considering who it is that suggested the page, I'm doing this sort of kind of like, my own weird way of an honorific of respecting the fact that Jim is such a cool animator. That maybe this is a way I could just sort of spice it up. Try something different. So, what's this one? I don't know, Chris. What is it? I'll say it's even bigger day-glow lights or day-glow circles. Yeah, so we're trying it. Anyways, that's the whole point, folks, is that Chris tried to make you picture. Oh, here they are. This is cooler. Ready? Here we go. Let me This is what I actually wanted. See, it's an actual light filter now that's going to push lights through the scene. Yeah, I'm happy monkey now. Okay, so this is the thing. It's all trial and error, right? No matter what it is, whatever way that we're making single page comics, whatever way that we're making, I don't know what, some sort of means for us to tell story. It's important that we just allow ourselves experimentation and allow ourselves to try things that are outside of our wheelhouse. Like, this is pretty far outside of my wheelhouse, and yet at the same time, I would argue that it's not. And what I mean by that is, like, it's all what I make out of it. Just like anything else, right? It's all what we make from it. See, that's a lot of fun to do the disco lights in here. And yeah, we're going to try a little bit more on that. But when we get to these dance moments, and so as I paint the guys in the case that when I paint, and so what's going to switch as well is that when we go from Andy standing behind the ping pong table, and Martin is going to be beside him. And so I got a lot to do today. But once I get these things done, then I can put together my panels quickly, bop, 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 a really fast form once I've laid out all the elements. The laying out the elements is all the work, I think. I don't know. Now, if anybody does animation, if Jim pops in and sees this, I don't know what the process is about doing animatics. This is me making it up as I go along, because all I've ever read on animation is your traditional. Can I find? Yeah, I've got some. These are the old books that I looked at. I can't remember where I put it, but these are the old books I looked at. Old animators' workbooks. And is that? I haven't even got a camera on. Holding it up for nothing. Yep. Whoop-hoo! There it is. Put up 60 times. There we go. So this is one of the books that I read, but this is talking about old school two-dimensional animation, and I think that this is an incredibly handy book. But this is entirely rooted in paper. So it doesn't really get at all, it has nothing to do at all with some of these applications that we can find digitally. So with that in mind, goodbye. Okay, so with that in mind, I'll leave it up. So I'm playing. But if anybody has any insights or any insight or knowledge as towards more efficacious ways for me to do this, please let me know. I think that by identifiably putting in elements like this, that I can, impose over and under the different stages of the table, so that I can put. So let me take Dave out of the front. Okay. So when I've got Dave standing here and Andy standing behind the table. Yes. When I put Dave standing on the table, see how his feet are in front of the net. So with that, that makes me deduce that I needed to do another layer for just another net. And I just copied the net and stuck it over top. So now when I put Dave up here dancing on the table, the other option, of course, is to, I'm going to duplicate this because I don't want to move the ones that I got. Of course, the other option is to move Dave back on the table. But that would require me to extend the height of the scene and to fill in the whole room, which I'm crazy enough that I haven't ruled that out. So, because that leaves you far more viability for the space. It's a really confined space here, but maybe that's for my benefit, because sometimes when we look at, let me do something here for a second. So when you look at a confined space, okay, And you've got, so let me just, there you are. So if I've got a confined, I'm going to go with a normal pencil. There he is. Make him smaller. There we go. So when I've got a scene like this on the page, and if I've worked out the page in order to be this, okay, and I figured out that here's this base panel size, and this is multiple reiterations of this contextual scene, right? Let me pull out the lights. It's fun to be able to do that. Okay, so it's multiple iterations of the same scene. And I can choose, because I'm laying this out digitally, I can choose wherever I want to put these elements now in the image. I can have the table here, right? I can have the table here and still have these characters try to figure out they're playing ping pong on a surface that's modulating around them. And of course, I can move all the guys around because the guys are made autonomously of the background scene. So I don't have to repaint the scene over and over again. And I really like this fact. But again, I don't know what programs people use, and I don't know how to set it up so I can layer all the images that I've pre-supplied. But the other thing, and this goes back to comics too, is that I can, let me switch. I can take my guys and I can have Dave this big, you know, standing here in the foreground with his hands up doing his little dance for this panel and cut him right over top of the surface of the panel. So it makes, of course, the frame of reference actually be this, but we're not actually putting a frame around that panel. We're just having him feed outside of it to make a more dramatic scene. And then because I can bump that up to a much larger size and kick him down right to the edge of the page, hopefully that allows me to promote the idea that it's a much more intense scene. Can I catch up, Lou? There, I got it. So that first scene that's in the background here, which is the same scene yet again, but with those filter lights over top of it. This is my theory still, right? It sits in here and it's rooted overall, like behind all these overall panels. But then this secondary scene with Dave, I can push out again. I can put a small frame of reference in behind him that pushes him forward once more. But again, same contextual background image, just with, and I can switch the lights up. So now there's more energy because I'll reverse the lights for this panel from this panel, which is the different settings of lights from the standard lit up image. Hopefully, this is my theory. That's what establishes the tantrum part of the Depeche Mode Ping Pong Tantrum. Thoughts? If anybody has any feedback on that, or if Chris has just gone off in a cuckooville overnight, let me know. I thought a bit about this last night watching a K-drama with my wife. We've been watching in the sitting area in my studio. And I thought about this last night before going to bed. And then I lettered the page for today's post. So when I got up this morning, the first thing I started doing was, the stuff I have to do. I've only been doing this for the last 1 hour. So it's rough and it's crude, and forgive me for that. And I'm still working on it, but usually I'm a little farther along with my my single page comics, but because I've completely switched the way in which I'm doing this, dun 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 dun. Anyhow, but because I've completely switched the approach of how I'm doing a one-page comic, it's just pure test as I go here. So I've yet to color the guys. I got to color them all now, and to draw the remainder of the source imagery that I have here. And you can see how I've got the images laid out, and I'm just doing a quick trace, but that doesn't mean I still have to go back and paint under everybody on a subsequent layer before I can lay them all into the image. So even if it's a quick trace to get the poses, I still got to do all of that labor. Oh, great. First answer for today's question. What is your favorite Depeche Mode song? Rudak has said that Never Let Me Down Again is up there for me. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, that's a good one. Master and Servant rates for me. That's a pretty high one up. Or Behind the Wheel, I think, too. It's all around the same time period, right? I got to admit, folks, I haven't listened to their last an album they put out in the teens there. So sorry, I got a split lip. Just trying to put some stuff on it to, keep it from making my whole head go in half like the Thing. Okay, so here's where I'm at. So I've got the ping pong laid in front of them. I'm putting the guys together in front of, or to be behind the table for this is the passive Dave. We take everything out. This is passive Dave that stands leaning against the wall in this setting. And of course, passive Dave disappears for the tantrum moments where he jumps up on top of the table at first, and then the secondary pose of him where he is in front of the scene entirely. So, and then what's going to root it as a tantrum is where the last panel goes right back to the first panel again. This and this are the same. So that because this panel and this panel are the same one, the intention is that this is the tantrum moments here, and then this is the standard moment here. That's my thought. That's my thinking, folks. So I still have to go through and do all this brushwork like I've done for the main scene. And now I have to go through and so I've got the table to put down. And of course, there's some of the guys I got to finish. But then when I have somebody standing on the table, this is what I want to show right here. When I've got them standing on the table, I've got the net is done to go over top of that. So those elements are done. So now it's just a case of figuring out these lighting ideas and then figuring out the coloring everybody in. So that's this is Chris learning animation, folks, but not actually animating it. If anybody does want to animate what I'm laying out, you're well. Oh, hey, great. Right on. Now, Behind the Wheel is an amazing song. I really, really like that one a lot. My favorite. Okay, so let's play this game too. What's your favorite album? Because my favorite Depeche Mode album might be sacrilege to other people. So, hey, Phil's joined us. Hi, Phil. But thanks everybody for coming out and going on this little journey with me. So this is me really utilizing Photoshoppy for what I think maybe its intended use is in a way that I rarely would do. And that is to, so now I've reversed this light. I don't know if you can tell, I've reversed there's a second blue now, so that for the one panel to the next panel, I can switch the lights, switch the direction of the lights. And it's literally just utilizing this panel again, which, I like cheating. It's, I don't know why this is, this is so accessible. And I know, and there's probably X amount of people that might watch this and go, oh, duh, Chris. But this is so accessible that, see, there's the reversal. I'm going to lock that as a layer just so that I don't have to try to cut down on the 63,000 layers that I've got here. What I was saying is that this is so accessible that I don't know why more people don't pursue animating this way. Or maybe they do, and I'm just completely naive and didn't realize that that's what was happening. Like I say, bear with me, kids. So yeah, favorite album. What a favorite album that people have got to. I'm totally keen to hear that. So I've got these two named now as lights 1 and lights 2, so I can switch the light sources back and forth. Let me pull up the scene. So now I can switch the lights this way, and I can reverse the lights that way for those two separate panels. And I think I want to figure out a tertiary light application here as well. Yeah, so in all honesty, it's a really liberating thing. I can understand why some comic artists utilize these tools in order to really the facilitative aspect that they have, of course, to how they might, there's this, I think that's a center. Is there specifically a center one that I've picked up somewhere? I think this might be the closest. Anyways, I'm surprised that more people don't engage in this on a regular basis. Layer 1, here we go. So I'm going to throw down this yellow, and then I'll spread it out so it's going to cover the whole of the image. There we go. So when I put that in correlation with the others, hey, look at that. It's a disco show, folks. What do we got? Sorry, I'm trying to keep up, everybody. My favorite personal music Depeche Mode album is Music for the Masses. Violator is a close second. Yeah, I think those are both fantastic albums. But I really like, I think it's called 101. Philip says it's hard to pick a favorite. I have such a strange mixed interest in music over the years. Well, sure, but when just specifically Depeche Mode, there's usually what that refers to in the whole what's your favorite is sort of a what is the moment. It generally works out as what is the key moment in time that you probably really dialed into Depeche Mode. In all honesty, it's usually a case where there's once you tuned in, that did not work. When you tuned into Depeche Mode, how is it that you tuned into it? And what was it that caught on for you? Yeah, see, that doesn't work at all. Well, we tried there, folks. For me, it was Music for the Masses, I think. There we go. So I'm going to put a purple light down, and then that's enough of that. Yeah, see, I got all these little things that you pick up over time. If anybody has a chance, Scott Circlin's newsletter that he puts out for his channel, Scott has an artist starter kit, like an artist toolkit there that has some cool pens and brushes and things in there that I have found to be very helpful for me because I couldn't find a decent pencil for sketching digitally with, and Scott's works for me. So yeah, so that's fun. Now I can do the whole switching on and off of lights. Woohoo! So that's lights 4 and lights 3. Happy. So that's that. So that's for those two lower panels. So now I've taken the initial scene, and once everything gets rolling, I can play with the lights on and off and on. Yeah, so that's good. Okay, happy. So this is leaving me with really just animating these guys, illustrating these guys, and then now I have to paint them all. So I don't know if anybody's interested in that part of the whole thing, but I can walk through that if you want to, you know. What is recording? Number 101 is recorded 30 miles from your house in Pasadena, Rose Bowl. Called the cops on them because they were making too much noise for a weekend and you had to work the next day. That's got to be the challenge of living anywhere near a venue. That's got to be the biggest challenge in the world. For if you're anywhere remotely close to a venue, you then have to sit down and figure out, you know, how am I going to go about doing what it is that I need to do when I've got this obnoxious, you know, Bon Jovi down the street driving me bonkers. That's rough. I'm sorry when people have to go through that. I'm picking a couple of colors out of the outfit, just running through, going into the brushes. I tend to go, this is my number one brush that I use for anything, really, to be honest. And hey, where's my Michael Jackson glove? I don't know, Chris, where's your Michael Jackson? That's right. There it is. It fell down. Okay. 13. That joke died. Thanks to Siri. Yeah. 13 miles. 13 miles from your house and you could still hear it. Good heavens. That's horrible. That's rough. That's rough. You know, there's one, and it's what's even worse is that if you like a band and then you hear them playing a concert near your house when it's not optimal for you to hear that concert, and it makes you hate your band, like it sort of takes you out of it. That's no fun. That's no fun for anyone. So, all right, so I've just thrown a layer down here, and I'm going to pump my opacity up to 75. And so I'm going in and I'm throwing down some marks, and I tend to remove my background a lot, and while I'm doing this, but this is a way to sort of give me a sort of gist of where everything goes initially, and then I'm going to get out of this because this is something that I'm always talking about. Don't be entirely beholden to your reference, because it's just reference, right? And as much as you are trying to capture something from it, by the way, I'm underneath the pencil layer when I'm doing this. So as much as I'm trying to capture those tones, those values, yeah, I'm not. I don't owe them. I don't owe them everything here. I'm just using them as just to keep the values similar, right? Just per scuzz. That's all. I live in London, and in London, we have the only major concert center that we really have is downtown, and it's enclosed, and because of, you know, X amount of snow throughout the year here. So there's no such thing as overhearing huge concerts. However, in the summer, we have two things. We have a park downtown, Harris Park, that's been a bone of contention for a lot of people, where concerts will be held there because everybody that lives over the river from said park, it just blasts through their neighborhoods when they do Rock the Park with all the old bands that are trying to make a couple more shekels, one last hurrah of their hits from the 90s. And then we have Victoria Park downtown, and our Victoria Park, same thing. There's residential around it, but they live. These people all live relatively downtown. Harris Park less so, but the people that live downtown, I tend to feel less sympathy for you're concerned about concerts or whatever else going on in the parks and that, you chose to live there. Right? Okay, so this is less exciting because it's just painting these guys in. And I'll be honest, I'm a little chaotic when I'm doing this, so. But it works for me, you know? Like it gets it down quick and it's going to let me, move him around in the scenes and you know, of course, I'm going to have to change the situation up a little bit with the different. There's Sunfest in Victoria Park. Yeah, that's true, Philip. That is true. That's a big deal. It's a big event. But again, people that downtown lose their right for complaining about it all if they're living downtown. You know, downtown of a city is not the same as downtown of. It's not the same as 13 miles away from something. Good Lord. That's just rough. That's a whole different level. It's a whole nother level. Yeah. So I'm gonna check. Yeah, I'm getting that in. But I start with the colors that I've picked up from the image, and then I got to chase them down in my own way to finish off the painting. I can't just sit with the resource. Looking very Bakshi there. Ah, hey, cool. I like that a lot. I love Bakshi's work. You know you're a Bakshi fan when you have had at least one experience explaining to somebody else why some of the Bakshi films that are on your shelf have, you know, like there's at least one Bakshi movie that has a certain title that is going to upset somebody when they come in your house. So 5 Alarm Funk used to play Vic Park till after midnight, was even shut down by police one year. That's really nice. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. I can see that. Okay. So I'm just throwing in some more of these elements. I'll even pull out the screen from behind, or I'll do this. I don't know if anybody else does this, but I'll duplicate a layer, and then I'll pick a stupid color that isn't going to be in anything, and I'll paint that layer that color. And so now, as I'm going in and I'm painting my layer, I can really see what I've got in here and what I don't. And at the same time, sometimes these crazy color layers that you do work as a little bit of inspiration for the piece, like the painting that you're doing. Because again, like I say, get rid of your source material at this point. Don't stay lockstepped into it. Pursue the different directions that it's your natural tendency and your natural understanding of color and so on and so forth, and see where that takes you. Yeah, and I paint over. I don't get too worked up about staying in the lines while I'm doing this either. I'm doing a little bit of pencil hatch throughout this whole thing because this is illustrated. This isn't a finished image, or this isn't a trying to be photo representational, photorealistic. This is just, I'm drawing, I'm having fun. So I'm not overly concerned if there's line marks throughout my characters here. Why not? Why not have some fun? But this is a major one because this character stands there static for at least 5 panels. A darker. There we go. He stands static for five of the panels in repose as these other guys are playing ping pong. So. And that you always tend to, when you're painting your first object or character in a piece, it's always the one you're testing everything out on. What's Jim saying? Totally kidding about the noise, but I do wish I could have attended. I really do live 13 miles away. I think it might have been out of town when they played that show. I've seen them many times since. Yeah, that'd be an amazing show, but to imagine that music 13 miles away from your house, though, because are concerts ever really that loud? Because you actually stand in front of that? That'd be hilarious. And I'm so naive, I just believe you. 13 miles away. I was on Jupiter when that concert happened, and we still heard him. There's a joke in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, in the Douglas Adams series there, about a rock band that's so obnoxiously loud. People have to be in the next solar system to listen. That's loud. Phil says, I was never a huge Bakshi fan myself. I can appreciate what he tried to do, though. It kind of like Fire and Ice. Fire and Ice is that one that he did with Frank Frazetta. And Frazetta oversaw a lot of what the actors were up to. And I thought that was kind of fun. You know what? I'll just paint this first. Yeah, Fire and Ice was a good film, especially if you're a young woman watches that film. That film is totally made for you to go, oh, she's hot, he's hot, holy cow. Damn, I'm in love with a cartoon person. I knew somebody that was seriously enamored with the female character in that. And, at some point, every creative group has a conversation with one of their friends. It's a cartoon, dude. There's always some guy. Maybe I just had some particular characters that I knew. So I'm running up and down the scale of these colors and just adjusting them and monkeying around as I go. Pushing it farther along the way. So, yeah, Bakshi's one. His Lord of the Rings Part 1, it was fantastic for its day. I'm glad he didn't do all 3 films because of, the economic burden that it was. But what he did for experimentation with that really allowed a lot of the people that worked along with him on it to be able to take that and go off and do some pretty remarkable things with that. So, I appreciate that a lot. But a lot of his projects are like that, you look at them and go, man, if it wasn't for Bakshi's trying different things out, we wouldn't have this, we wouldn't have that. You wouldn't have Cool World if you didn't have some of Bakshi's other projects before it. That's a film that I don't think gets enough appreciation. Is Cool World. I don't know if anybody else feels the same, but so like I said, I had to draw. I didn't have his legs at all here from the source material, so we had to fill those in as we went. But that's fine. And I like the fact that it's loose and it's still somewhat indicative of how I work. The style is sort of similar to how I work, where I just try to do the simple lines to convey the form. When I'm drawing, I try to do a lot of this in the elbows as I'm as I'm drawing an arm like this, and I just try to find out where the form goes in the folds. And so the way that I've tried to pull lines out of the source image is similar to this style of drawing that I'm referring to. But it's a very different approach to work this way for me, so I can pump this up because this is just a big solid area value. I'm leaving the gap between his legs so that, and because this is going to be saved as a PNG file, I can do whatever I want with these different parts of the image so that I can move them around freely, put them in different spots. Like my intention with this static image that I'm doing now is I'm going to adjust him slightly each time in the panels. Like as he's going to be sitting static, and at most he might move a little bit to the side. But I still have to do paintings of, 4 different paintings of Fletcher, 5 different images of Fletcher, 5 different images of Martin, one image of Allen, maybe 2 images of Allen, just to be a little more fair. And then a lot of images of Dave. But this it moves really fast, so that's not going to take me all night. Weird fact: this music score for Bakshi's Lord of the Rings was written by Leonard Rosenman. It's just you think I'd be able to understand how to pronounce that with a name like that close to mine. He also scored Star Trek IV. You actually can hear some reused themes in Star Trek IV. Yeah, that is cool. Is that the wearer of the ring, the wearer of the ring? That's a different version of Lord of the Rings. Does anybody remember that, by the way? Does anybody remember the Rankin and Bass Tolkien projects? That haunts me to this day, those projects. All right, so finding those root colors in the source material, and then just taking that and using that to go ahead and fill in our quick sketch for our guy. Got my brush down. Got my brush down too far. There we go. What do we got? Phil says, I know too many weird, useless facts. Treat you like that. Yeah, working and lurking, Dee. That's the way to do it. I think that's as best as I could ever describe my attendance of other people's casts, because I tend to, if I've been able to tune in other people's casts, unless I'm near, I'll tend to have that on while I'm facing a different direction and working away. So that that's why I don't comment very much on things for the most part, because I tend to always have it on while I'm working. Okay, so just putting a little bit of hey now in here. There we go. It's a small image, so you're not going to see much. It's the one where I put them in the foreground. I'm going to make sure that looks like what's his lips now. Well, I hope the hell I'm on the right layer. Wouldn't that be something if I wasn't? I'm in an eraser. What the hell am I doing? Thank you. Thank you very much. Little bit of frosting. All right, just leaving that as a simple line art for now. Because ideally, I want to get this comic part put out today. Well, by tonight. It'll be posted for tomorrow. It's 2 o'clock. The 2 o'clock sure. There we go. Cut that. Corner back a little bit. I'm happy. Okay, so there's the first guy done. I'll save that. What has Phil said here? I thought the Rankin and Bass Return to the King was supposed to be the two things at once. I thought the Rankin and Bass Return of the King was supposed to be the finale to Bakshi's Lord of the Rings flick. I think it was too, but I think that they did that, the cheeky monkeys, because they wanted to save on money to not have to do the ding dong thing, so that they could save money on having to produce the first half of the film. All right, so I'm going to open up this ping file now. There it is. And I'll cut out my Dave. And drop him in. Hey! Look at me as it hangs on the table. Okay. So if I drop him down to here, yeah, and I can scale him up. I didn't do his hands. Typical me. Okay, that's fine. We'll clean that up. It's just testing it. So, all right, what do we got? Do you have a reel until you have heard from Josh Campbell's version of The Greatest Adventure from The Hobbit? Try it again. You haven't lived until you've heard Joshua Campbell's version of The Greatest Adventure from The Hobbit. Does he do Smeagol? Is that what that is? Is he reading as Smeagol? Because I love that sort of thing when that's going on. That's my jam. That's there's a funny thing of Andy Serkis. I can't remember what it is that he's reading. I think it's one of Trump's speeches on some late night talk show, and he's doing it as Gollum, and it's just brilliantly funny. It's a lot of fun. There we are. Yeah, I love that. I love that sort of thing. I love when people take something outside of its context, throw it into something else. It's a lot of fun. Oh, today's music that I'm listening to on the old headphone is I'm listening to music for the masses. gonna have to get Josh Campbell to do his Great Adventure. I'm gonna have to do that. He sings the whole theme. Does he actually? He sings the Rankin and Bass song? Oh my God, I'm in. The Greatest Adventure. See, for me, it was always the Wearer of the Ring. Oh, I hate that song with a passion. What do we got? Hey, Frank, guys. Oh yeah, that you know what? It's strange to say, but I'm looking. I really want to ask Josh to do that for me because I'd look forward to that. So I'm just pushing some of the values in. It's closed now that I've tested it out to see what he looks like in the image. That's exciting. So that's my work. So I don't know how other people go about this process themselves. If I'm making far more work out of it than there need be, or if I've made it overly complex than I should. If anybody has any insights into that, especially those of you that are involved in animation, is am I making a mountain out of a molehill here? Is there a more effective way to do it? Oh, anyhow. What do we got? I just finished. Hold on a second, Frank. I just finished an RPG style character sheet for Captain Goggles and Mask Woman. Cool. Look up Josh's live stream from a few months back for his live version of that song. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm gonna do that. You betcha I'm gonna do that. That is life affirming. That's fun. I love stuff like that. I absolutely love when somebody does an impression like that. There's just oh yeah, hits the mark. Does that do anything for me there? Not really. There we go. There we are. Okay. What does Frank love? Frank, don't answer this right away. Anybody? Oh, damn it, Frank. Frank loves his friends. You could have got some really exotic answers there, Frank. You could have had some fantastic insights from people on what they think you love. Some really surprising things for you, maybe. All right, so laying in a suit here. Yes, I know that I could do the lasso tool and just drop it all in. I know. But when you're so used to working the old school way, sometimes you don't thinky. I'm excited. I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing this as it's completed. But at some point, if I can figure out the fundamentals of a program that allows me to animate it, I'm going to save all the elements for this so that I can try to do that at some time. Record some music for it that sounds Depeche Mode. something like master and servant, but like using, instead of it's a lot, use ping pong, right? I guess it would be the other way around. Let's see. Josh is a really talented musician. He has a few albums out in streaming services, and they're good. Yeah, I've heard those. Those are good. Who does Frank love? Frank loves Kanye. Frank loves his friends like Kanye loves Kanye. Kanye is his biggest fan. Drink Coca-Cola forever. Yeah. This episode brought to you by Supersize Coffee. When you need something to drink, but you don't want to go back to get some more in a minute, drink a Supersize Coffee. It's actually tea. I don't want to lie to people. Sloppy. Color in the lines, Chris. Jeez, come on, what's your problem, guy? Is your first time here? Holy cow. You ever held a cram before? I can actually remember when I was in grade school, there was a kid named Mark who was pretty good. He would draw reproductions of old creepy and eerie covers, and he would tease me about not coloring in the lines. I got a split, folks. Ouch! I'm actually on the GO train headed to Toronto. That sounds exciting. Have a good night, Philip. Behave yourself out there in Toronto. We'll be watching the news. Make sure Phil's behaving himself up there in the big smoke. Yeah, I know. Even big with this. It gets sloppy. So I'm just going to color in all 4 of these at once so that I can put them all, get these all done and on to the next. So with this whole process of trying to assemble all these elements into here, I think that the end result for that is going to be Frank asked if he was heading to Toronto. Yep. So the whole idea is once all these elements are assembled, is it's really going to allow me to really explore the versatility of what I can do with it then. What is this one? Oh, yeah, right. It can really allow me to explore the versatility of what I can do with that and how I could assemble this together. Now I've got the opening part of Master and Servant in my head. But ping pong, 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 pong, pong. That's about all the time I need for this. One of the things I really like about Jim's animations is I like the voices. I really like your voices. And not only do I like the animation stuff, of course, but I really like the character voices. They just come off as being so... It makes the characters more unique and authentic, I think, the way that you do those voices. And you do really good girls' voices, too. Isn't that funny? I forgot to color that foot. So all the tester stuff that I did on the other page, where I laid in a whole bunch of these guys on it and said, hey, this is where dudes are going to go. I'm going to have to go back in and replace all those files with these ones. What an elaborate way to have to go about doing stuff. But Worth it. Worth every cut. Take a minute of it. It's really a new thing to try, like to try to assemble all these elements for this comic page. It's sort of a reverse way to build it, but it's an awful lot of extra steps here. But because having all of this material together would then allow me to make an animation out of them, I think that's the payoff. I wouldn't do it this way every time. I think I'd just do straight on painted panels, or if I'm going to do a comic painted digitally, I just do it straight pencils and drop some color to it, like you'll see me have done before. There's a couple of people whose work that has been coming out in print in sequential books lately. There's guys like Mickey Montillo, I think is how it's pronounced. MON 2 T's, Mont, LLO, Montillo. That's how I think it's pronounced. Yeah. I really like what he does with digital painting, and I think there's definitely something to it. He did a couple of books called Worship Jolly Roger. They were just great. And he just did a Witcher book for those people that like that stuff. I haven't seen it. My son will probably have bought it because he likes that kind of thing. But I've got his other books. He did a quarantine book. It was quite funny. And now he's doing that thing that every new parent does, every new millennial parent does, and that's make a comic about their new baby. A comic about all their personal life each day. Which is cool, I guess. Never been into those kinds of books. So we're just talking about. I'm not really a Harvey Pekar guy. I do like writers like Malcolm Gladwell, though. He's a good. But he doesn't just write about his world. He just relates to it. Oh, here we go. Thank you. Now you tell me, Jim. Animation's a dangerous drug. If only I had known that yesterday. It's a gateway drug, is it? You start with just making one picture wiggle around. Before you know it, you're doing the modern version of Disney's Aladdin. I'm going to leave that up for a while. Really let it sink into my head before I get any cockamamie ideas. Now he tells me. I'm curious to see how these muted tones of his outfit that he's wearing here for the dance portion of our story, I'm curious to see how they're going to look under those different light setups. It's going to be interesting to me. Will I or won't I have to put those accents into this old cat's pajamas? And I don't know if anybody's taking notes or not, Frank, but write these moves down, huh? Write these moves down. All the kids think it's hot. All right. Dun, 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 dun. I'm sure that people do this much faster than I do. But, you know, part of this is having fun, right? What are we at? 120. Frank will be dancing by the end of the stream. Everybody? Frank? Might have to put you on camera for that. Turn it into a kids say no to drugs commercial. This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions? I love doing 80s dances in the kitchen when my kids are around. It really, really aggravates them. What does it say? Make sure you capture Martin Gore's adorable blonde curls and Dave Game's hip-shaking good time dance moves. That's the plan. That's the plan. I've got all of these set up so that I've got, here's his hip moves right here. Let's see if I can. I've got a little bit of Dave's hip work going on up in here, and that'll be the foreground dance. And then, of course, Martin's curls are going to be pretty evident there. So, and then he's going to throw a long yard pass right up to this guy over here, who's going to try to block right there to keep that from happening. Anyways, girls in school had similar slogan. Ladies, say no to Frank. We had a similar slogan in the school that I grew up in, and that is just stop it, stop that dancing, just stop it. I still got that up on the screen. I'm gonna put this back up. I asked Jim if he'd come on the show here, and he said yes onto the stream here. So we're gonna set up a time and date where we can get Jim on, ladies and gentlemen. So anybody that's watching, look forward to that. And in the meantime, I would recommend, if anybody would like to, go ahead and put your YouTube channel down in the comments here for anybody who wants to go and check out your stuff. In case anybody here hasn't done so. Or in the comments too, that works too. There we go. Let's be frank. I had a teacher, my grade 7 homeroom teacher in school, would put his foot up on the chair at the desk in front of you if it was open, and he'd say that. He'd say, "Come on, let's be frank, Runciman." I've changed up how I sign my name. I'm making sure to put my name on these one-page comics as I'm spitting them out. But I've changed up how I do it because so many people can't seem to figure out what my name is. It's a lot more complicated than I think, it is for some. I've decided just to sign things as though it were phonetic. Run, Seaman, Runciman. I've made it a large C, which I think is problematic because it's a small C sound. So just testing it out. You live and you learn. But I don't care. Call me what you like. Just don't call me late for dinner. All right. All right. Well, there's the rough ones. Anyhow, I'll clean that up. Want to make him look a little more like Martin. But we'll get this together. Save it as a ping. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, that's feeling good. Yeah, that's not going to work. I got to open the ping. Ping. All right. Put them on top of the table. So yes, I got to clean this up a little bit, tighten it up. Oops, save that. Here we go, some of the lights. It's disco time, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! All right. Yeah, that's going to come together pretty nice. All right. Well, what are we at? We're at an hour 30. How am I doing? I'm doing all right. So I think that with this in mind, let's go here. Yeah, so I could do all kinds of fun things like having different size Martins throughout, or different size. It's Dave, I guess I've got here. And then he needs to go under the nets, under the lights. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, okay. You gotta, that's where I need the animation program so that I can figure out how to make these so I don't have to clickety-click it like a ding-dong. But the idea is all there. Okay, I'm pleased with that. So I got all the mechanics of it together, and I think I'm going to go about just spending X amount of time this afternoon, this evening, because I've got the paper drawing that I needed to get done on the other project that lets me do this, and so I'm going to put this together and get all these images drawn together, and then start figuring out all the panel layouts and get those together, and think about little extra things I can do to kick that a little farther. Add in some nutso elements maybe for those two tantrum panels that I talked about on my page. but maintain the integrity of all these elements as I've talked about, so that I can at some point look at maybe figuring out how to go about animating all this. But I've got to color in a couple of Andys, a couple of Martins. I think 4 Andys, 4 Martins, and 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 more Daves, and then of course two Allens as well. And then I can start playing with all of these different sort of things that are that I've got set up to move the ping pong table around and have some fun with that. So bear with me. Keep an eye out for tomorrow, and then we'll figure out, maybe what I can do is figure out when we get Jim to come on and maybe talk about how to go about doing animation and putting together elements. That might be an idea. So this has been fun. I think I appreciate everybody being here for this and hanging out. I'm going to keep kicking at this this afternoon and have some fun with this. So I hope that I just caught up on comments here. That looks fantastic. Thanks, Jim. Wow, that means a lot. Thank you very much, sir. Oh, and hilarious. I'm glad you like it. One of these days I'm going to do something, and I'm going to stay serious, completely serious throughout. Even my waxing existential comic, I was so close, except for a giant panel of yawning and then talking about mangoes instead of pontificating. So one day I'll do a completely serious project, and I'll make everybody's tears jerk. So this has been a lot of fun. But I'm going to get all this stuff assembled and laid out onto different panels and pages, and I'll get that assembled to post for tomorrow. But if anybody else has any one-page ideas, let me know. I look forward to the opportunity to try things outside of my regular old wheelhouse. I'm always experimenting with new ideas and new material that I might not have done before. So by all means, feel free to submit a tight 1 or 2 sentence suggestion, and we'll roll with that. Otherwise, take a look at it. All the people that you saw in the chat today, please feel free to check each other out. And if anybody that's in the chat wants to leave their address in the comments so people can come and take a look at your work too, please feel free to do so. I'm a fan of that stuff, of us all promoting and encouraging each other. But this has been a lot of fun for me to explore and try out something new. It's like taking whatever set of skills that we have and foraying into new things that really helps us to grow and develop for the other things that we more regularly do. And maybe this might be the kick and the punch for me to start working more digitally and to try to explore some more of these avenues of things that I could try to learn how to do digitally. So enter home addresses now. Well, enter it in the comments after the fact, because nobody's going to see the chat after the video is posted. So yeah. All right. That's about it for me. Thanks everybody for hanging out. I will have this page together for you guys tomorrow. And in the meantime, keep creating. Thanks for coming in. Bye for now.